seem like such a positive person.
That was a good one, Brother Courtney Kirk.
All right, the show will be on at 8 o'clock. Don't forget to tip your waiter and waitress.
Wear your mask.
I got you. I'll be in the front row, my brother. I'll be in the front row.
Well, it's my Kristen. I didn't realize there was only one cookie, and I took it and I ate it, and Aaron was like, "That's my cookie," and I'm like, "No, it was."
We've been cutting those cookies in half because they're like.
I love it. One is enough. They're so good.
Yeah, my kid is becoming a cookie wonderkind.
And like really, I was like, I want to just buy them and have them in the house. And the one that I'm talking about is sugar free. It's so good. Yes, it's called the Dirty Chai Chocolate Chip Cookie. I think that's what we're calling it. It's super good. It has a little bit of salt in it, plus the I guess the carob.
It's Lily's chocolate and
chocolate. That's right.
Cardamom in there. There's some.
It's super good.
There's like 3 or 4 herbs in there. It's tasty.
It's really, really good. Spot on good.
Do we know if member Valencia is joining us today?
I haven't heard anything, member Kirk, so I'm not sure. She didn't really reach out to me if she is or not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Give her one more minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 minutes over.
I have my inauguration going on. I'm watching the parade.
It's all good.
Member McLean, which house are you in?
At the moment, I'm still in the River House until next Monday, and then I will be.
I like it how you call it the River House.
In the Biscayne House, yes. Biscayne Park House. Biscayne Park House, though, the kitchen is completely torn out right now, and the bathroom is undergoing work. So hopefully we get over there and we don't have we have functioning plumbing. That's my goal. And so
I can offer you a 5-gallon bucket for one of those items, and I can
already
offer
have
you a
one.
gas grill.
That's the thing, is like I have one from when we did our septic system last year. I have an entire like bathroom setup from the 5 weeks we were without septic. So we're prepared.
Okay.
It'd be nicer to not have to do it that way.
She had rented a camper. She was camping on her property.
Well, I rented the camper when we tented, but for 5 weeks we lived without toilets in the house, without standard plumbed toilets. So we used a camping toilet for that whole time. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Wasn't a plan. We did not plan on that. It just, the porta potty was very expensive, so we had to come up with an alternative solution.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. I also wore my Chucks for the occasion.
I know. I love that picture on your Instagram today. That was really cute.
Madam Chair, I don't have, I'm looking at my phone. I didn't get anything from member Valencia. I don't know if you want to go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I think we should get started. Hopefully she is able to join us in a few minutes.
Can we text her? Are we allowed to text her?
I can do that.
I don't know. I may have missed that part of ethics.
Member Kirk, did you ever get your ethics certificate?
No, I have not.
I didn't get one either.
Neither did I.
Okay. Did you guys
I did attend and I did register. Yeah.
I remember Kirk attended. I didn't know if a chair Carpenter and okay. All right. Did you guys attend the same day that first day that Friday? Was that Friday?
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right.
I even attended the afternoon, not knowing I didn't have to.
You did. I was there, but you didn't have to. There you go. The extra time. Let's get started, you guys, and then once we get into the agenda, I'll text her because I don't want to wait to have to wait for her response. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force meeting on January 20th to order at 3:35 p.m. And we will get started with silent meditation and the pledge. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America.
America.
And to the
And to the republic
for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty
and justice.
and justice for all.
Okay. Second.
Okay, great. I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Nickerson, for roll call.
Roll call. Member Valencia, currently she is absent. Member McLean,
Here,
Member Kirk,
Yes, sir, present.
Vice Chair Fruitstone,
Present. Oh, I got Chuck's on.
and Chair Carpenter.
Here.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, you have a quorum. We appreciate it, Madam Chair. Let me see who else, Madam Chair, is here as usual. Who else we have over here?
Magnuson.
Madam Chair, we have Chief Maxim. Madam Chair, we also have Matthew Webb, who is he's running for office, and he's joined us today. So he's here also, Madam Chair.
Excellent. FYI, Mr. Gladwin also wanted to attend, and I don't think he had the contact info, so I just forwarded it to him. So he may join shortly, but he did express interest.
Thank you very much, Member Kirk. We appreciate that. How you doing, Chief Magnuson? What's going on? Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing. I'm here with you guys, and on the other screen, I have I'm working on FDLE with an audit, so I'm going to shift over there, and I'll come back. Okay.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I know that the chief did have, we do have an audit, a virtual audit with FDLE, which is extremely important. We have to stay in compliance with that. I was going to say that, Chief. I didn't even know you were going to be here. I was going to actually
back and forth. I'll be back.
So Chief, I had you on at the first agenda item with a COVID-19 update. Do you want to try to do that later, or do you want to hold it off for this meeting and come back next meeting with a COVID-19?
No, I'll do it a little later. As soon as this is over, I'll join back on.
Okay, so we'll just hold you off, and then whenever you come back in, whatever we're on, the next thing we can jump back to you.
What I could do is just give you a brief update in a second. If I could just get out of this other meeting real quick. Let me hold on. I'll come back to you.
Whenever you're done, just come back over, and then whatever we're on, when we finish that agenda item, the next one will be you. We'll jump back.
You got
it. All right, Madam Chair, the floor is yours, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda?
Nope, looks good.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
All right, hearing a motion in a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda for today's meeting, say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Does anyone have any changes to the meetings from either the last brief meeting we had on January 6th, I believe, or the previous meeting in December of 2020?
Madam Chair, if I may, really quickly, Madam Chair, we have to do the approval of these minutes separately. So let's take the December one first. You can do approval second. Motion second, all in favor, all opposed, and then the next one, motion second, all in favor, all opposed.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mayor Nicholson. I believe the last 2 meetings ago was December 16th. Does anybody have any changes to the meetings prepared by Member Kirk for the December 16th meeting? No, seeing no changes. Can I get a motion to approve the December 16th meeting minutes?
I have a motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the December 16th, 2020 meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, those minutes are approved. We'll then move on to approve the January 6th, 2021 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes to those? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the January 6th meeting minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Perfect. All those in favor of approving the January 6th, 2021 minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the January 6th, 2021 minutes are approved. All right, moving on to F. Mayor Nickerson, do we have any visitors or special presentations before our regular agenda items? No?
No, I don't. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. And opening up to good and welfare, I know that we have you on, and also Matthew Webb. Does anybody, do any of you have anything to say for good and welfare before we jump into the main agenda? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. So we will jump into our main agenda, which starts with Chief Magnuson's COVID update. But given the chief's double commitment right now, we can just hold off on that until he's available. And we will jump to item H2, which is Miami-Dade County Adaptation Action Area Community Meeting Update. I believe this is my agenda item. So I know I saw a couple of you guys, but as I think you all know, last week, the County Office of Resiliency held 2 community meetings, one on Tuesday, the 12th, and one on Thursday, the 14th, to address their new program that they're implementing in the Little River area called the Adaptation Action Area. I know Kristen was on one of the meetings. You were able to attend, Maribel or Courtney? I just don't want to. Okay, great. So
I did not.
Okay, so I'll give you guys like the full update on that. But essentially, so the manager and I had met with the county about this project in advance of this meeting. And essentially the county got funding from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection to create this adaptation action area that is focused on Little River. The area of study encompasses all of El Portal, and then the city of Miami all the way to Biscayne Bay, just going straight east from El Portal, and some portions of unincorporated Miami-Dade County just to the south of us and a little bit to the northeast as well. So the idea, my understanding is that the county will be creating these adaptation action areas for various areas in the county, but that El Portal or the Little River area is going to be kind of their pilot version of that. And they held community meetings to get feedback from community members on the flooding that they had experienced and their interest in having a plan to adapt to a resiliency plan, really, to adapt to sea level rise and flooding and other resiliency items based on community input. And they had kind of suggested 5 proposed solutions, and the final plan would incorporate various iterations of those solutions based on what the feedback they received from the community. And those 5 proposed solutions were to build on fill, build like the Keys, as in put houses on stilts, build on higher ground, concentrated at transportation avenues, and they had proposed the current railroad tracks, expand greenways and blueways, and create green and blue neighborhoods. So the Tuesday meeting focused more on El Portal, where the Thursday meeting focused more on the coastal area east of El Portal before the bay. And during the meetings, they broke out and got feedback from community members about what they would like to see. They shared a copy of that presentation with the manager and I can share that with you all. But I wanted to make everybody aware of this and also wanted to suggest that we take a really close look at their initial suggestions for what the final plan should look like and submit written formal comments on behalf of the task force via the village, of course, considering that the village council would have to approve such a thing. But I wanted to propose that because I think that it would be beneficial for them to get feedback as to El Portal specifically. And I think that we could add some valuable insight to that. So I know,
Madam Chair, I know that Hugh's hand is up, but I just want to say really quick, Madam Chair, that to build the Keys, along with the idea of building the house on the stilts, they also had the idea of build the Keys, where that they took the houses and they kind of raised them, not on fill, because on fill would be different. But I remember they raised it to where the driveway went up, and then the house also was set back and went up also. But it wasn't on fill. It was still built like the Key was different. I remember that part.
They had added like a second story on some of those houses and then converted the bottom story to storage, essentially.
Something like that.
Yeah. And I know Hugh and Kristen gave a great presentation on the Tuesday meeting. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything or interject on, the work that you've done with the county on this. Mr. Gladwin.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, on that meeting, as soon as it was over, I sent them, the people that organized it, Katie and Krista and those guys, a kind of grumbling text, because I thought the meeting was, I mean, it's very hard to do something like that in a Zoom format anyway. But I thought, you know, there was a big problem because all of those recommendations, like you just mentioned, raising houses and all that stuff, were things that, you know, they want us to think about the pros and cons, and I felt they didn't really define them very clearly. And actually the issue that's most absolutely important to us is this issue of water in, water out. You know, you build a barrier like a seawall that keeps water out, but it also keeps floodwater from draining back out. And it was like impossible to figure out what that was. So I had a meeting with them a couple days ago. We did sort of an hour-long post-mortem about it. You know, and I think they're going to be working on the procedure a little more. I know the next one coming up is going to be on water quality. You know, and for the Conservancy, Adam is going to be presenting on that at the meeting, but I hope that they would sort it out. You know, and I said, then they wanted to get a better idea of how that kind of worked with us. You know, I went over all the issues that we had, and I said, all those recommendations, you know, are useful, but there's a big question mark hanging over all of them, which is cost. You know, so they said they were, you know, the conclusion of that little bit of it was that Christian Camrath said, okay, they're going to sit down and they're really going to start looking very carefully at what kind of grant options are available for El Portal, for the county, if these solutions come online, you know, if houses have to be raised or all the different things. So, so I was going to mention that during the LMS part, but maybe I'll wait until then because we'll be talking about funding then. Okay. You know, but I think, I mean, it's a very good start, and this is an incredibly important project that's going on because, you know, it's the planning of our future, and they're giving us a big kind of role in doing this. You know, and another thing I said to them was, you know, that Adam and Kristen and I and the Conservancy have been working on this, but on issues like funding and stuff like that, they really need to work also with you guys, with the task force. So I'll mention that a little more when we get to the LMS part. Thank you.
Thanks, you. Yeah, I really appreciated that they started this effort and that they've been, you know, included you all at the Conservancy and also the village. But I think it seemed to me after that presentation, after both of those presentations as well, they could use a little bit more concrete directions that would apply more specifically to El Portal. So I think I definitely see the value in having the village, you know, through the task force submit very specific comments on the draft plan and some of the proposals that they'd made. And I would, you know, certainly with the, you know, advice and consent of the Conservancy would be really helpful.
I mean, I think the challenge, you know, one of the things that I just continue to think about, well, first of all, there's, you know, we've talked about this before in the context of this, there's just a lot of entities and a lot of fingers in the pie and a lot of stuff we can and can't control, right? So the adaptation action plan, I think the most important reason why we need to really continue to participate and to have a very tight relationship is that we are going to need those guys to help us in any kind of organized way to leverage the county and the state to get what we need, right? So I think the direction in the wider Biscayne Bay area is towards a Bay officer and a more unified management plan that will help then trickle down all the resources that we would need and everyone else needs, right? So I think that because it's the county, they need to have public input. So this is the public input process. But I think the real value and the reason we need to actively participate is because we need for them to help us in the future with what we're going to do, right? So they're going to generate an adaptation action plan with certain recommendations, and some of those things are going to be things that we as a village want. Some of those things hopefully will have some environmental elements of what the Conservancy would like. They are very, very concerned about the Larchmont neighborhood, which doesn't really have the voice that we have on our side of the river. So they're making a lot of space for the Larchmont voice to come in, or the unincorporated areas to come in. So, you know, I think we'll have to see where it goes, but just it's whatever they need, whatever meetings they call, whatever they want, we need to participate and actually really continue to just be in there with them so that we see the fruits of that down the road, I think.
I mean, the other thing to add is, you know, we sort of have to keep in mind that the resilience office that they are is like the county coordination sort of center of everything. So in addition to this particular project, you know, they're the people who know all the players. You know, I mean, for example, I was talking about problems with the water management district, you know, because the water management district, their absolute number one priority is flood control, and all these other things sort of go by the wayside. So Katie said, you know, they now have a chief resilience officer in the water management district. And I will post the information on her, but you know, she comes from a conservation background, and you know, she is the person we should be getting in touch with, you know, particularly if we have problems on the river with water quality and things like that. So anyway, so it's a really good relationship in addition to the project being important.
What are I know that Kristen and Hugh are separately working with the county, you know, as well as through the task force on the plan. But what are your all's thoughts on having the village submit specific comments or requests?
I think it's truly important that we have a public statement as the Resiliency and Sustainability Task Force. So I would support something to be put out in relationship to our support of the project and recommendations that we would like to see set forth, or some kind of collaboration that we document it in a more formal way, because we are under, I don't want to say oath, but we are the organization for the Village of El Portal that is, it's not the governing body either, but you understand what I'm saying, that I would be in support of something like that as a formal statement.
Yeah, and I totally agree, Maribel. You know, towards the end of that meeting, Katie really pressed me to say, okay, what do you guys, given all these things, what's your vision of what you really want? You know, so I kind of tried to pull it together into a statement, but that really, and I will send you some notes kind of about what I said then, but I think that is the job of the Resiliency Committee, you know, and I'll help you maybe make a start with some notes, but to really lay out, looking into the next 20 or 30 years of everything that's going to happen, you know, here's what we want to see, you know, and here's our costly things that are going to have to happen, you know, and getting what we want to see means support also in getting funding and stuff like that. So I definitely think that would be a really important project for you guys to work on.
Madam Chair, if I may. I think what we need to do is, I think that we need to either somehow get the PowerPoint they were using or something like that, because we need to, if we're gonna, if you guys are gonna build a formal statement about what you guys want, the vision, you guys really need to talk amongst yourselves about what exactly are the upsides and downsides of everything that they offered, right? So those five long-term solutions, you know, the build like the Keys, build on field, build on high ground around transit, create green and blue neighborhoods and expand greenways and blueways. First of all, like the build on field, you know, like that sounds good in a way, but then the negative was it causes that to roll down to your neighbor's house, right? So it might cause harm to your neighbor building on field, because your house will be okay, but it'll cause it to roll down to your neighbor's houses if they're not on the same level as yours. So you need to talk about things like that. So we need to understand what these things are, so we can break down what the positives and negatives are, and then we need to formulate. So we need to find out just the exact definition of these 5 things. Like, for example, I remember when they were going through the expand the greenways and blueways, they were talking about how, you know, the areas that flood and things like that, kind of turn those into, like, you know, greenways, like more parkish areas, or blueways where you bring in more kayaking and more like kind of like, you know, those type of sporting type of things, because you can't fix it. So change it into something that you can use it for. And I think I made the point when I was on there on Thursday, that, you know, that would be all well and good, but you're talking about taking basically all those houses along the river and displacing those families, and El Portal doesn't have the space to be able to relocate those families the way we were like the city of Miami, we can relocate them over here on this side of town. So that might be something that's just not something that we can't do. So we need to understand these 5 things, and then figure out what we really can do, and then start to you know, make that, or you guys need to do this, and then start to make that thing you guys want to write about.
So actually, I think we can connect two things on our agenda right now, because the other thing is that we had talked about, and I apologize because with that, what I've got going, I still haven't had time to draft it, but we had talked about making an official El Portal presentation of the priorities and ideas, and connecting what we're trying to do to the larger environment, the larger political environment. I would suggest that we take those slides and that we build our presentation for the village against some of the material, that we speak directly to some of the things that they're putting out, because that will connect directly to what the adaptation action plan is calling for and what the county is calling for, but it also will give us a useful framework for talking about it. And there are things that are not addressed in it that I think are really important to us as a village, so we can expand on that. But I do think that we could use that. I think that we should have an internal discussion, to your point, both of your points. We should have an internal discussion to set the priorities that we want to articulate based on that plan, so that we can actually speak specifically to it and then message that on behalf of the village, right?
Yeah, and I did get screenshots of all the slides in the presentation. I just haven't gotten around yet to put them together in a PDF to send you, but I will do that. You know, and they also have a recording of it. I don't know if they're going to make that available, but you know, it'd be nice for you guys to get the slides. And
I'd be interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they shared, when the manager and I met with them, they shared some, not the slides that they used in the community presentation that we're all talking about, but some other slides with us that I can share with everybody as well. And to Kristen's point about, you know, having this incorporated into a kind of standard resiliency presentation that encompasses all the issues, I think that using the county's, you know, presentation as a jumping off point is great, but I think that the 5 solutions that they propose is also it's missing some other solutions.
No, I'm not suggesting that we adopt that wholesale. I'm suggesting that when we build the public facing presentation that we want to create, that does articulate our priorities, our plans, our preferences as a village, that we can actually use what they've just put out as we can reference it when it's appropriate, but we can use it internally. I mean, so there are those of us who participated, but I would say that we internally as a body should actually talk through some of those things ourselves, because, you know, to Omar's point, yes, the whole idea of, I mean, there's a lot, it was a deceptively there's a lot of implications in what they were putting out. And none of them, I think, are perfect for us, or they will require us to make some difficult decisions or have some hard conversations. And I don't think we're quite there yet. So, but it's a great opportunity for us to use it as a framework and then integrate it into what we want to put out publicly.
No, I totally agree. I'm kind of separately making the point that in addition to what they've proposed, I think there are a lot of other solutions and ways of adapting that were not proposed by the county that we can circle into, you know, our general plan and you know, kind of stock presentation.
Madam Chair, if I may really quickly. Madam Chair, just for sake of Mr. Kirk's notes, Member Kirk, so what Member McLean was just referring to as far as, you know, we should roll this into part of the presentation, that would be H5. So we basically just discussed H5 in a way. So when we get to H5, we can acknowledge that we've kind of went over it because she said she's still working on that.
Not a problem. So far, I'm taking, I've got some decent points that each person has pointed out.
As an action point, can I just ask that we circulate amongst the committee the county's deck? And then I will bring back a draft and I'll include the slides as an appendix just so we have something to discuss. But I have a vision for how that.
Who's the action item for that? Who's going to do that?
Well, it's for me since I have the slides.
No,
right?
no, we have the original deck, right? We have the original deck.
Oh, good.
That was forwarded to the village.
Oh,
I have the presentation from the presentation that the county gave to just the manager and I'll send that.
Oh, okay. So you don't have the slides that Christian put together?
No. Well, Christian put those together also, but not the community presentations from last week.
Okay.
I don't have them.
So then I think actually the action point is I'll reach out to Christian and ask him if we can have a copy of it.
Okay.
But
And if he can, I'll put it together from what I had. But
so we have two
to get the original.
It'll be a lot easier to work off slides if he's got it. So
yeah.
Sorry, Madam Chair. So we have an action item with two subpoints. One for you to provide the content and one for Member McLean to reach out and provide the content. Is that correct?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
And I do think that Kristen, I totally agree. I think that that's a great idea. What your point about circling this into the resiliency presentation. I do think it's valuable for us to like have a formal comment letter essentially that we submit, that the village submits, you know, obviously pending their approval, you know, laying out the things that we'd like to see and the things that we have concerns about. That is really, you know, a letter on letterhead separate from a presentation.
I totally agree with you. And I also think that there are things that aren't addressed and that we should feel free to add things that weren't addressed in that, right? So seawalls were not explicitly addressed. I think the point about municipalities receiving a higher level of support, not really, you know, like none of the
seawalls were addressed, but so bizarrely indirectly in the thing, you wouldn't have known what they were talking about.
Yeah, I'm just feeling like where I think that I don't know. I don't want to belabor this, and I know we want to be efficient with our time, but I would say that there are things that we would also include in that we would like to see more explicitly addressed.
Yes, I agree. And that's actually that exact point is what made me think a comment letter would be beneficial, because I feel like there was some notable gaps, things that were not brought up that we should bring up to them and request be included in a plan. And even if they don't include it, it's beneficial for our own work to have that laid out so that it can be incorporated in things like, you know, the presentation that you're putting together.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Madam Chair, before you guys close, I just want to say really quickly that they did announce that there are other meetings coming up. One that I think sticks out for us is Wednesday, February 10th from 12 noon to 1 p.m. They're going to be talking about the septic systems.
Yes, thank you.
Very important.
Thank you, Mayor Nixon. I have that to bring up as well. They also, as Mr. Gladwin mentioned, are having a water quality meeting on January 27th. But as I don't know if Kristen or Hugh have an update on this, but my information is TBD on a time.
I haven't heard of
Madam
specific
Chair,
time.
Madam Chair, I have, you might be correct. I have January 29th for water quality from 12 noon to 1. It might be the 27th, but I have regardless, I have it 12 noon to 1 p.m.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have my notes here, but I know one meeting they're thinking of moving back a bit. Might be the septic one.
I can get clarification on those from the county and then let you guys all know.
Yeah, but definitely that septic systems is very important for Albertile.
Have a time for that meeting.
That's 12 to 1, 12 noon to 1. They said at the Thursday meeting that me and Chairperson Carpenter was on that they're looking to start to do things during lunchtime. So if individuals work, they can like go and just listen really quick while they're on their lunch break. So they're trying to make them from 12 to 1. So definitely that February 10th, that Wednesday, February 10th is 12 noon to 1 for septic systems. And Madam Chair, I'm sure we'll find out about the water quality.
Great. So yeah, Member Kirk, that'll be, I'll find out the dates as well for action item for me.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else on this? I guess the question is, before we move on, we do want to formulate a comment letter, and we want to have that, in line with, Kristen's resiliency presentation. Does everyone want to take a look at the slides and spend some time before our next meeting thinking about what we think is missing, or what we like that they've proposed, or moderation, a modification of what they proposed, and then put it as an agenda item for next meeting, and we can start running, start solidifying some of those ideas? Does that make the most sense? Or I know Kristen and Hugh have already done a ton of work on this. Maybe it makes more sense to have you guys tell us what you think, and then we can jump off of that. I don't know. What does everyone think?
I think it's always helpful to have a draft to push against. So that's what yeah.
And I'm definitely going to send you some notes and stuff before to have a chance, because you need to look at it before the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it to kind of know exactly what they have presented, and because I was not able to attend the meeting. So any information would be really good.
So I think Maribel's talking about looking at the presentation before we talk, but Mr. Gladwin, you were saying we should, or Kristen maybe was saying we should have a draft letter to look at before we talk.
I think it's much easier because it would be more efficient, and I think, I don't know who wants to, how we want to build that draft, but I think since we have to do everything out in the open, having a draft to start with is much easier than for us to try to build it from scratch in the context of a meeting.
Yeah, maybe I could, Kristen, since I'm not on the committee, you and I can communicate. I could pull together some of my notes from my discussion and my thoughts and send it to you, and then you could work on it some with that.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
Okay, I am also happy to help with that in any way that I can. I know this makes it a little bit difficult, but Hugh, if you need anything from me or I can help, let me know.
Actually, I think might, if you, Elizabeth, excuse me. Actually, given everything I've got going on, I would actually suggest that maybe Hugh work with you, and then I can come in behind you.
Okay, I can work on the comment letter, and then Kristen, that way you can handle the presentation, and you're not saddled with both of those two things.
Will do.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, let's just make sure, if I may, Madam Chair, let's just make sure that we definitely, Member McLean, let's get those slides for them, because seeing the draft letter without having seen the slides and being educated on exactly what the draft letter is saying still will leave individuals in the dark. They still, it doesn't matter what the draft letter says if they don't understand what those things mean on the draft letter. So there'd be no way for them to even have input or vote on it or anything. So those slides are very important that describe exactly what those things are going to be saying that you guys are going to put in the draft letter.
Okay, I think that's a great point. And it may be something that, you know, if we're having meetings every 2 weeks, we get the slides, distribute those. Maybe I can come back next weekend with like, next meeting, I'm sorry, with an outline of what a comment letter would look like, the issues that we are interested in addressing. We can discuss that, and then that can get converted into an actual paragraph written format after that. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Anything else on this? Oh, okay. We'll move down to H3 on text notification service.
I have to go.
Oh, thanks, Maribel.
Thank you. Sorry, it's in 2 weeks, our meeting, I know, but I look forward to the slides, and I'll watch the replay.
Sounds great.
Take care, Vice Chair.
Hey, yeah, that's me, Sandra Valencia. I'm sorry I was late. I had issues trying to connect, so I sent out an email. So I got, again, the invitation. So I'm here. I'm sorry I wasn't for the attendance call out. So, but I'm here. I'm sorry. So on the update in regards to the texting and text notification service, 3 weeks ago, I had a meeting with our village attorney, Geller, with village manager Lou and our dear Mayor Nickerson. I can't see myself. Can you guys see me? I don't know why I'm having issues with my camera. Anyway, so I had a quick meeting. It was a very short meeting in regards to understand, the limitations and legalities regarding our approach in having this platform in order to communicate any weather or emergency situations regarding flooding or whatnot, but also having this platform and leverage it in order for us to create this platform to communicate with our residents in regards to, events for the community and whatnot. So I had a clear understanding from village attorney Geller of our limitations, and definitely the just the essence of whatever information is in the database. It could be actually public because it becomes part of any public requests. So that is something that it could be a little, it could be a barrier for us to have all the residents to be part of that database in order to communicate with everybody. But I finally found the right contact within the company that Miami Shores has been using as a communication platform for these matters. For emergency, they use it mainly just only for police emergencies and safety issues more than anything else. And so let me share with you guys. I had, after my meeting with the three of them, I had a quick conversation with village manager Lou. She was going to try to get me the information through the manager in Miami Shores. I didn't hear back from her, but I finally get the information and got to talk to the company that I am sharing with you right now. Just give me 1 second. How do I do this? Share. Here it is. Oh, no, it's not this. Sorry.
Oh, got it.
Hold on. Share.
Yeah, that's Nixel.
Yeah. And so I had a conversation with this lady, Lauren, and they've been working with Miami Shores for years and with different municipalities. And I believe that this will create some sort of security also for our residents to be in understanding this platform is also used in different governmental organizations and also municipalities and whatnot. So I think it creates a little bit of security for our residents to be able to opt in and create that network of communication with every single resident here. So I'm gonna just share this quick video, if you wouldn't mind.
When experiencing natural disasters and man-made events, it is critical for public safety organizations to have a direct line of communication to keep residents informed and safe before, during, and after an event. It's the responsibility of the public safety agency to use the appropriate technology to enhance or replace legacy systems to keep residents informed both quickly and efficiently. Residents demand information on a broader range of topics utilizing the technology and devices they use daily. Unlike some emergency notification systems, Nixle extends beyond emergency management and supports a regular cadence of community outreach to engage residents and improve community relations, such as traffic advisories, event management, neighborhood watches, and arrest updates. Nixle possesses a unique feature to allow residents to easily opt in for information that is important to that individual. This allows the agency to get the right message to the right person in a manner in which they want to receive it. The Nixle solution helps your agency build a relationship with each resident in your community by becoming a source of accurate and relevant information. In the event of an emergency, residents will look to your agency as a provider of timely information and safety. However, today, most critical events are communicated to the public by way of news media coverage. Reporters tend to present issues with the biased goal of driving viewership. In some cases, officials look to navigate budget cuts by turning to free social media to communicate with residents during a crisis. This can be effective, but important information is often lost in the endless noise of pop culture posts. Your public safety agency's objective is to manage critical information carefully while keeping residents safe and informed during a crisis or important event. A child is abducted. Can you target information to the residents of that one community? Do you rely on Facebook and media to get the word out? Crime spikes in a neighborhood. Can your residents communicate with you to help? Can you send pictures of the suspects directly to their phones? A fire starts. Can the fire department message the immediate neighborhood? How can the fire department inform the specific relatives and friends about the status of the fire? In an active shooter situation, every second counts. Traditional media may be too slow and assumes residents are engaged on TV, radio, or social media. Are you enabling law enforcement to provide real-time info to residents in harm's way? Are you enabling them to deal with 21st century crises? Extreme weather. Public notifications on safety, shelter, power outages, and supplies. During Hurricane Sandy, agencies were able to effectively communicate with residents as to food, shelter, and assistance. Nixle is the solution that allows your public safety agency to actively communicate and manage situations before, during, and after events, when information and crisis management is vital. Don't leave room for doubt. With over 8,000 public safety agencies using Nixle, we welcome the opportunity to help keep your residents informed and safe.
So one of the things I believe, I heard, sorry to interrupt this, but I heard you, Member Kirk, that you know this company. I heard that you went like, oh, this is Nixle. Do you know them?
Well, I mean, I did a very brief look into a number of companies that compete with them as well: Civic Ready, Notify, Crisis Go, SimplyCast, Pocket Stop. They're like, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but they each have their features and their drawbacks. I know that Nixle's not cheap, but I don't think any of them are cheap. So
I actually I compared the ones that I shared with you before, the other two private companies that I believe that they're really, really good in their service and the quality of the platform and technology. And they're pretty much close to where this one is. And especially because when I spoke to this lady Lauren today, in regards to details regarding how many inhabitants, how many residents we have, and let me show you. Hold on, there it is. We actually land in the lowest level of pricing or costs, and is $2,600 a year. So it's pretty much close to where I was looking into, the private, companies. It's $2,600 a year and 100,000 text messages a year. In regards to email messages, it's unlimited. Web messages, meaning they will post to Facebook, Twitter. You will get Twitter notifications, and we will get the connection and the merging of this platform with our social media channels. that is all unlimited. So I believe that this is something that we should actually consider, and especially because of the barrier of knowing and understanding that that database is a matter of public record if it's requested. So some residents will be not too adamant to actually connect with that or to it, or opt in to the notification platform. But knowing and let them, if we leverage the idea of our neighboring community, Miami Shores has been working with them for many years, it could create a little bit of security on them, and then it could be successful. So I don't know, any thoughts on what I just shared? I can share this information after the meeting with all of you. I will send it to Mayor Nickerson, so then he can actually, share it with all of us. But I believe that this could be an opportunity to have the right tool and having a story to tell to the residents, so then actually we get them to sign in with within the platform. So I would love to hear any comments.
Well, my only comments are, I've looked at what appears to be Miami Shore's use of this, and it is extremely limited. So I'm not sure that using them is a great item. I mean, I got something, when I look on their Nixle Wire, they have something, 2 things from 3 weeks ago and 1 thing from almost a week ago, and they're all just police activity. So I wouldn't necessarily go off their usage. And I guess I'm not sure that we have truly the understanding of what the functional needs are. I'm not sure it's the manager or the police chief or anyone else has provided that for us to be able to say Nixle is better than the alternative, or is worse than the alternative, or is more costly, or has better security, or whatever it is we're looking at. I think we're jumping for an answer rather than going through the requirements piece of it. That's my 2 cents.
Well, one of the things I discussed with the manager after my meeting with Mayor Nickerson and Attorney Legeller was basically we need to understand. I mean, these companies give you the access to whatever the limitations we are in terms of the usability of the platform. I know that Miami Shores only works in that way, not because of the tool is not there for it to utilize in other ways. They don't use it. So and they don't have like different packagings in regards to whatever our needs are. They have just like for instance, this is 2600, and it has all the usability that you want in terms of the communication channels you wanted to use, but the content at the end of the day will come from us. It could have any sort of like messagings, from alerts to community messages, like invitations to our meetings. So there's no limitation to it. It has nothing to do, in my opinion, it's up to us the way that we want to utilize the tool, and the extent of whatever it is that we want to communicate and the content we want to send is pretty similar in every single platform. It all comes down to pricing, and then having and choosing the right person as a commissioner or as the leader of communications, because that person is the backend administrator, and it will have to fit the content to the platform, or the administrators that we're going to have. So that is something that we can discuss further. But at the end of the day, choosing the right company, I don't see the difference, having conversations in regard to what is the extent of, or the structure that we want to manage, or the type of content we want to manage within the platform. So I'm not sure if
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
My understanding is this is not going to be something that is managed or run by the El Portal Resiliency and Sustainability Task Force, that it is something that we are recommending that we think there's a need based on flooding, et cetera. And then there was the chief and other folks said, hey, maybe we can use this for other purposes as well. And I fear that since we are not the actual administrators, users, whatever term you want to use, that we are simply a recommending force, that I don't believe yes, many of these tools have overlapping functionality, but I don't think, I'll speak for myself, I have no comprehension of what the specifics are that the manager, clerk, mayor, the chief, the village leadership wants in functionality to be able to give any intelligent recommendation to say this is the best tool. One may be better at managing contacts, one may be better at text messaging, one may have clearer communication, one could have a lower rate for the things that we're going to use most, which we don't know, or I don't know. I'll speak for myself. So I do not feel comfortable at all that we can recommend something.
Okay, well, the thing is,
Senator Hendrickson, do you want to interject?
In the administration, as far as I understand, because when I spoke to the manager, she has never thought about this.
So if I can, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So all right. So I think that we have to look at this as this, you guys. So this all started because of the flood situation, right? And we were like, you guys know what? During the flood situation, during ETA, we need to have better communication going forward and things like that for emergencies. That's how the idea started out. Right now, we don't have too much of anything like that. So what you guys just need to focus on is, and I'll say what you need to focus on first, and I'll say kind of like from a point of view of the El Portal government. What you guys need to focus on is, what do you want this to be? Do you want it to be only for emergencies? Then look into it from that point of view. Do you want it to be for emergencies and for general communication, like the council meeting is next Tuesday? Then look at it from that point of view. So that's up to for the task force to decide, you guys, because right now we don't have anything. So it's not like the council was like, hey, go find us something for emergencies, or go find us something for emergencies and general communication. We didn't give you guys that order. So whatever you guys bring to us, if it's just for emergencies, you guys are going to bring it to us like, hey, we did this research and we recommend this for emergency communication only going forward. And that's what we'll vote on. So it's up for the task force to decide the details of what you guys want to present us. And that's open, that's up for you guys. But let me just say from a government point of view though, Madam Chair, what you should be focusing on is, one, the limitations that you guys want to present to us, and two, is cost.
Correct, and that's why I was thinking.
Cost is always going to be a big thing when it comes to government, you guys. So if sorry, remember Valencia, I'll be done in 1 second. So if you guys say, you know what, with this certain text program or whatever, I'm just going to say, for example, it's 20 cents per text or whatever it is. All right, well, if it's 20 cents per text, maybe to keep the cost down, we're going to only push this forward to the council for emergency communication only, because we're going to cut out general communication because we don't want to waste any more money on extra texts. That's not necessary, or something like that. But if it's like a free situation, you say, well, if it's free, well, let's do not only emergency communication, but also general communication for council meetings next Tuesday, because it's free texting, so we have nothing to lose. But that's all for you guys to figure out, you guys. That's why you guys are this task force. You have to debate it out, vote on it, and come out with what you guys want to do.
And that's my thinking in regards to trying to bring the different options in the market that are close to what we could actually offer to as a solution to the council to decide, and maybe in the future have like a perfect communication channel from between the village and the residents. And in that sense, regarding, for instance, just only this scenario with Nixle, the basic is $2,600 a year. and it's 100,000 texts a year. And it includes all this stuff that is unlimited and unlimited management or administrators and blah, 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 blah. So we can do whatever we want with this. We can utilize it just only for emergencies, but I believe that it's too expensive. It is just only for emergency communication, in my opinion. But because and since it brings all these opportunities, we should leverage for other things, events and meetings and whatnot. We have on the other side, what I presented to you guys, that we have this pricing. And if you see, the basic on this pricing is $29 a month. It's actually way more expensive, not even Nixle. And the other one is close to it. It's $29.19. $19 is the basic, but the basic doesn't give us, as much flexibility as Nixle does. And Nixle has, also the characteristic of being working with municipalities. So they understand us better than these companies. That is my opinion.
So I'd like to go back to Mayor Nickerson's direction, and I'm going to draw an analogy, and I'd like to understand why this makes sense. You're basically, Mayor Nickerson, you've asked this committee to recommend a vehicle to buy, but we don't know what the requirements of the vehicle. We can only say what our requirements are, but you're the one buying it, and by you, I mean the village, and you're the one using it most of the time. In fact, you're the one driving it. How in the world can I recommend whether it's a Yugo or a station wagon or a bus when I don't have an idea of who's driving it and who's going to use it? I find this a little challenging.
I hear you. But let me say this. I hear you, Member Kirk. I hear you. But this is the thing, right? So this is more like I think a better analogy is more like we're 16 years old, and our parents going to buy us a car, and right now we don't have any car. And so whatever our parent buys for us, if they buy us a Civic, then we'll use the Civic in the way we can use the Civic. If they buy us a Jeep Cherokee, then we'll go off-road on the weekends because we now have a Jeep Cherokee. Right now, the village has nothing. So if you, let's say, for example, if you guys didn't do this, 6 months from now, we still have nothing. A year from now, we still have nothing. So whatever you guys present to us, that's what we're going to take in and make a decision based on what you guys present to us. Otherwise, the alternative is we have nothing. So it's kind of like beggars can't be choosers. We didn't. That's the reason why I said we didn't give you direction to say, hey, task force, why don't you guys do this for us? So we don't. So right now, the village doesn't have anything that it's looking for. So if the task force works it out, and then whatever you guys bring to us, we'll say, you know what, like with the costs and things like that is good. Because generally you guys know where this came from. It came from the flood situation. So it came from basically out of the emergency situation. So if you take it from just like a beginning point, you guys are looking for a communication system for emergencies to get out to the villagers.
So if that's what it is, and you're concerned all about cost, then we shouldn't be even thinking about things as sophisticated and useful as Nixle. We should be looking for that $29 a month, because I think Sandra, Member Valencia said it was about $2,500 a year for Nixle. I think that was the number you gave. And there are other options at 30 or 50 bucks a month, which clearly is significantly less. So if all we're focusing on is simple emergency communication, which I think is a short-term benefit, but probably not the right thing for the actual village to do. I don't know how we have this discussion.
Yeah, but
I guess I'm just frustrated and lost. That's all right. I'll shut up and I'll just abstain. It's fine.
No, you're good. You're good, Member Kirk. But I was just giving that as an example. What I'm saying is that was a starting point from where we started this all off, you guys. But you guys, and this is why government can get like this, right? But what you guys are doing, you guys are saying, okay, do we want to cap it at only emergency communication, or do we want to add general communication? And is it worth it cost-wise? And that's for you guys to decide.
But Mr. Mayor, we're not in charge of the people who would actually use it. We can't tell the clerk that she should be sending out messages. We can't tell the village manager that she should be sending out messages, and we can't instruct the chief to send out messages. We can't even instruct ourselves to send out messages because it's a village communication. So again, without the leadership piece and the executive backing, or whoever's going to use it, this seems to be a fundamentally unsound exercise. And I'm sorry, but I see Hugh's hand up, but I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, can I quickly make a suggestion, observation? Or I don't know. It seems to me actually that what we're trying to do, and just in thinking about the whole breadth of the conversation we've had already today, what seems the most productive thing to me is that we actually make a recommendation to the council that we believe that at a minimum, a real-time communication tool for the village to communicate with residents would be a good thing, and that so we recommend that at a minimum the village adopt a platform, and we can make some recommendations of what our research is and what we suggest, and then that in a best case scenario that the village would adopt something that would function more broadly than just an emergency communication, but that, to your point, Courtney, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, the village manager and the chief and the council have to ultimately decide what's going to work. So I think our role here is to compile the research, make the recommendation that we believe that at a minimum, an emergency real-time communication strategy is something that we would recommend to the council, and then pass over some organized form of our notes, our research, the pros and cons, and then the council's going to need to take it from there.
That's exactly what it is.
Sorry.
So when you guys, whatever you guys recommend to us, let's say if you guys recommend to us just for emergency communication, we're going to take that, I'll get it passed, and then we'll say, okay, you guys, for this, we'll as a council, we'll decide we're going to have this run through the police department. Boom. Or if you guys bring us something that recommends communication that's emergency, but can also be used for general communication, then we'll decide as the council, all right, you guys, you know what? We're going to run this through the police department and the clerk, let's say. The police department will take care of all emergency communication. The clerk will take care of all general communication through this text service. So you guys just need to present us the stuff, present us the recommendation and the research and the details, and we will take it and say, okay, this is a good idea. You know what, Vice Mayor Urban? So what we should do is we should have the clerk do all the texts when it comes to general, but we should have the manager do emergency, or we should have the police chief do emergency, or we should have Officer Battaglia do all emergencies. We're going to decide that. You guys are taking the information, you guys are getting prepared for us, you guys. That's what you guys are doing.
So to add to that point, may I? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
That's okay, Sandra, go ahead, and then Hugh has his hand up.
So in adding to that point, I just want you to summarize that the Nixle is the most complex, is the more expensive, yeah, but it's the most fundamentally complex of all, because it gives us the opportunity of having just one backend to actually send out whatever messaging we have in all our channels, including social media channels that right now the police department is doing their own thing on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken, and Twitter is someone else. And then we have another one managing Nextdoor. This will be just only 1.1, that it will create the same messaging throughout to our website, to our email database, to our text messaging database that we will create at some point with opting, marketing campaign or whatnot. I mean, it's the most, the full on is this one. It's $2,600 a year, yes, 100,000 text messages and unlimited emails, unlimited social media, web messages, whatnot. If you think about the ones that I showed you before, guys, if it's only for a matter of emergencies, I will go with the basic, which is 500 texts a month. If it's only for emergencies, that is just going to a text. It's just only for phones. You won't get an email. You won't get any sort of like communication to our website automatically. You won't get any social media integrated to it. It's cheaper, yes, but you know, we can escalate it, maybe, but in terms of the amount of text, that's all. Because these companies just work on this and on these platforms for texting, not integration with social media, not integration with you know, web or anything like it. So in the future, we are sending, oh, sorry, let me show you. If we in the future, we're sending more than 3,600 texts a month, because we're also utilizing that platform to invite for the committees meetings, for the council meetings, for the special events we have, any other information we're sending via text. We will end up paying $139 a month, which is 1,600 plus or whatnot a year. Yes, it's 1,000 less than the Nixle. But in my opinion, if we're going to do something different for the community, we should go all the way and be professional about it, in my opinion. If we want to just create a communication tool for us to be able to send out emergency regarding flooding and weathering, I will go with the lowest, you know, with the 300, 400 or 500 a year.
I think we need to put the full range of choices to the village council. So I think this should be the top end.
Okay.
And then there's I don't know if there's a middle. We have the text experiment that we ran through Microsoft. Like, I think we should just come up with the options A, B, and C, and then.
Can I ask you regarding that test? That
I just want to let Mr. Gladwin speak, because he's had his hand up for a while.
Oh.
Oh, okay, yeah, what I was going to suggest is, like, from what Mayor Nickerson said, and it's basically what Kristen said. I mean, given what you've looked at for Nixle, Sandra, given the previous things, I would see the task force submitting to the village a table that has like 4 columns.
Okay.
And each row is one option, one system that you could pick. So maybe there'd be 2 levels of Nixle. There'd be some of the less expensive systems that you guys have talked about before. And then the columns would be, column 1 is, you know, how you get the system, the company, etc. Column 2 is the functions that it does for the village, you know, emergency communication, all these other different things. Column 3 is the cost of that option. And probably most important, column 4 is the cost to the village in terms of village staff time that's going to have to be invested in making it work. You know, so I think if the village got that, it would be hugely useful. And then the task force could say, well, you know, maybe you guys feel that the emergency function is the most important, but the other things, but you know, all these other things that aren't directly related to resilience are all things that the village has to decide, much more than the task force. So that's what I
agree, and I can work on that Excel spreadsheet. Absolutely, I can do that. My question right now is with the test that it was run with who did that? The one with Microsoft.
I did. But based on your discussion with Attorney Geller, that has some huge privacy downsides.
Right. I mean, it's not a privacy downside. It's just obviously anyone can actually ask, even with this systems. Also, at the end of the day, the database is ours.
That would be column 6, potential problems with this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I think I really like that idea in a spreadsheet format. Yeah. The lowest or the cheapest one, I think, needs to be just emergency communications, because I really do think that our jurisdiction as a task force is limited to that. Everything else is something that oftentimes the functionality to do more will come with the program. But what we're recommending is, at a minimum, here is a program that allows for emergency communications. This is how much it costs. If you'd like to adopt more than that based on the village's other needs that are outside of our jurisdiction, here are the various levels of options above that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes. Nick, definitely.
Yeah, I would like to see also what Member Kirk offered in that also, because what we're saying about as far as what Attorney Geller said, that is for everything. Like that's even for like right now, the email list that the village has where we email out, things to the villagers, whether it's a meeting type of thing or whatever. Even that, if somebody asks for a public request for something, then even those emails are could be asked for public record.
Correct.
So I just wanted to make a point that what Member Kirk presented was nothing, as far as like, public information was nothing worse than what we're looking at right now on the screen, or nothing worse than what the villagers had for years and years and years through the email list. It's the same.
Right.
So if Member Kirk's is, because when he presented it, it like it worked pretty good. So, cost wise, if it's better, I'd like it to be on the spreadsheet also as another option, if he doesn't mind.
I don't mind at all, but I guess my question is much more on the middle or upper end. How we selected Nixle because Miami Shores uses it 3 times a month. Why didn't we look at others? How do we get to Nixle? I hate giving a recommendation where we haven't. I don't feel comfortable giving a recommendation where I don't feel we've done a reasonable amount of research, and that can be on me. I'm fine with that, but I don't know. I guess
You had covered other systems in previous meetings.
No, I understand, and remember, Kirk, I understand your frustration. So this is what, and you guys, this is good. So this is what working out things is all about. This is what you guys are doing, right? Because it's not up to me, it's not up to me because, Courtney, Member Kirk brings up a good point, right? So it's not up to me to say it, you guys, I'm just here as the liaison, right? But I'm here, I'm trying to say to you guys, I'm just here to give my little, 2 cents wherever to try to kind of guide you guys in direction if you guys seem like, you don't know the direction to go in maybe as far as getting to where you guys want to be. But remember, Kirk brought up is a good point. Why did you guys go straight to Nixle? Why wasn't there other things? But that's not for me to respond, it's for the task force to respond to Member Kirk and say,
right. But if to take on what Member McLean said, to follow up on that, I think the only reasonable, logical thing we can do, and I would not even do a grid, I would say we recommend that you do something for communications for emergency. We need the village council to then tell us, yes, we only want you to do emergency, or you know what, we want to do emergency and a lot more. And then with that direction, we could provide an intelligent researched response. Right now, we're very spasmodic. We are not focused on any particular set of functionality. We're not focused on any particular set of technology. We don't have business requirements. So selecting a solution is not a smart thing to do right now. We can't recommend something without understanding what we're trying to accomplish with it.
And just to put it on record, Nixle is not the only option that I am proposing. I actually did my research, and the 3 or 4 companies that I actually chose, it was based on research and pricing and understanding what we can actually propose to the council. And being an opportunity to communicate with the community. That was it. So just for the record, it's not that Nixle is the only option, and it hasn't and the research hasn't been done.
Member Valencia, my statement was not at all, and I apologize for that. It was not intended to diminish your actions and your research. It was not that at all. It was simply that we as a task force don't have enough to make an intelligent recommendation. You're asking me, I'm speaking for myself now. You're asking me to make a recommendation on what the village should do. I don't have the input of the village, and we're only looking at one tiny piece. I need you guys, and by you guys, I mean village council, to say, yes, I only want you to look at that little piece. Because if you say that, then we go down path A. If you say, no, I also want you to look at this, 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 and this, then we go down path B. And I don't think it's intelligent to waste our time looking down both paths, because to do an intelligent one, we're talking about significant effort.
I understand what you're saying, Member Kirk. this is what, and I think me and you are just going to disagree on this, but this is what the village council is open to any suggestion because there's nothing that we were asking for. Even after EDA, we didn't say, you know what, you guys, I think we need better communication for flooding. I think we need better communication for emergency. That came from the task force coming with this idea. So right now the village council, Councilperson Perella, Councilperson Urban, they've made no mention of asking for any type of communication upgrade or communication emergency upgrade or anything like that. They haven't asked, it's not even on their mind. So whatever the task force brings, the village council is going to be open to.
Yeah, I think that we're flagging this up as something that we would on a basic public safety basis. But that's the firm suggestion we want to make. We think that the village should have some kind of real-time communication in case of emergency, flooding, or public safety, right? And then,
Stop it right there.
Well, right. And then we can say, and we could foresee, I would personally say, and, in the conversation, we explored the idea whether or not the village would have other things they could use this for. So, but to your point, Courtney, the basic recommendation is we believe the village should have a real-time communication platform for emergencies and public. I don't remember what I just said. I'm tired. But
Madam Chair, I know you want to move. I see your face. I know you want to move, Madam Chair. So let me just say, because this is good, you guys. So exactly the way Member McLean started speaking about it, and Member Kirk said, "Stop it right there." Those are the type of decisions you guys need to make as a task force. That's not up to the council. This is the same thing where it'd be like, let's say if this is the same thing if I brought something, to the council and I said, you know what, you guys, I have an idea, and I bring it to council and I bring it for just emergency services. Well, that's my presentation to the council. They can take it or leave it. You see what I mean? So you guys decide as a task force, you guys decide through those details, you guys vote on that, and you guys, the task force, decide what you want to do. So so just like what Member McLean said, and Member Kirk said, stop it right there. If the rest of the task force agrees with Member McLean, then you guys as a task force stop it right there and present it from that point. Go ahead, Madam Chair, I'm done. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So we do need to move on timing wise because it's almost 5. But I just wanted to share my thoughts as well. I see some issues with us trying to create an overarching communication platform for the whole village, for all village related activities as well. And I think I'm going to use the word jurisdiction again. I think anything beyond emergency communications for resiliency related topics is outside of our jurisdiction. And we don't have the understanding of village activities to craft the correct product to meet those needs. So I think I agree with that point that was made. And to jump on to Mayor Nickerson's point, if we all are of that same mind, let's just identify a limited program that only allows for emergency notifications, and then just point out to the council that there are more sophisticated, wider ranging software that would accomplish this same goal, but also allow the council to do more. If that is something that you're interested in doing, the council can proceed to pursue that avenue. But we are recommending this limited product to accomplish the tasks that fit within the parameters of what the task force was charged with. And the council could do more if they would like to do more.
If you allow me, with that being said, what you just said, I will go then with Member Kirk's option, which is actually free, and then I think that the city will have to find the right person that will be the manager of, or the person that will be sending out those messagings. I'm not sure if the test went well. To be honest, I didn't get any text messages when you tried. I don't know if you utilized my data, my information, my phone number. But if it's free, and if it's just only for the matter of communications in terms of flooding and emergencies regarding weather and resiliency, I believe that probably that is the right way to go.
Well, I think I still go back to this idea. We need to make recommendations, and let's just show all the research that we did. The basic recommendation is we think there needs to be a real-time communication platform. Here's why. Here's the research that we did. And to Hugh's point. And then Courtney will just hand it over to the council and let the council decide if they want to take it forward.
I won't hand it over. Sandra will. She's writing it up.
Right. But it's on, I mean, but
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the platform you use. So if you can actually share that information, because I'm not sure what platform you use, so then I can add it up to the proposal.
Okay, so real quick, what is the consensus? Do we want to give among the four of us, do we want to give multiple recommendations, starting from just emergency management all the way up to a full-blown communication platform, or do we just want to recommend an emergency communication platform?
I think we want to recommend that they get an emergency communication platform, and we say, we did some exploration and these are the things we looked at, and here's a summary of what we found, and then let them carry it forward.
I echo what Member McLean just said. I don't think we should recommend a specific solution to them. I think we should provide them the information. Again, this is we aren't going to be the ones using it. We're not sending it out. So if they go in and look at it and say, okay, the person sending this out is the chief or one of the police officers, maybe there are additional requirements that our thoughts are not going to work for because they have to do it while they're on their smartphone out in the field or whatever. I don't know. But I don't think we need to give them an answer as much as a direction and say, now you guys go do something with this and make sure it works for you.
Okay, so the consensus I'm hearing, I think, is we would like to give the village council a few options and recommend that at a minimum, some option that allows for emergency notifications is adopted.
I think that sounds fair.
And what options will that be? I wonder, because what I understood from Kearney or Member Kirk is that we are recommending for the village to get any sort of like emergency communication platform, whatever it is, and they need to figure it out. Or are we sending the information and research we made?
I think what Kristen said that Courtney agreed with was that we will provide a list of recommendations, 5, however many recommendations with the benefits, pros and cons of each one, and recommend that they adopt one of those that at a minimum allows for emergency communication.
Okay.
Is that a correct recitation of?
Yes.
Okay, can I ask please to have access to the abilities of the platform that you utilize for the tests that you run, Member Kirk?
I'm not sure what that means, but if you give me some sort of form to fill out, I can give you whatever information you ask for. I'm not sure.
I need to understand what you did and what is the platform and the service, the name, and the cost. I mean, it's free, right? You mentioned to me that it's free. It's
$1 a month plus 0.01 cents per text.
Okay, and if you can actually.
But just here's what I'd suggest, Sandra, or Member Valencia, if you could send me whatever grid you're going to complete for the others, I will provide that answer to Mr. Nicker, to the liaison, and he can either consolidate it with what you have or pass it along at his discretion.
Okay.
But Sandra, send it to Mayor Nickerson, not
sure.
To Courtney.
Okay. When yeah, I will work on the spreadsheet and then I will send it as soon as I get it done.
Okay, anything else on this? We really do need to, we only have half hour left. We're good. Thank you, Sandra, for putting all of that information together and sharing that with us, and for everybody's input on that. LMS funding. Kristen?
I vote that we, I know Hugh mentioned that he might have something to talk about it, but I would suggest that we table this for the next meeting.
Hugh, is that okay with you? Go ahead.
I just want to have a 30-second inspirational interlude on this topic.
Go ahead.
You can burn up 30 minutes of your time.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah.
30 seconds, yes.
Yeah, you got a full minute.
Okay, well, of course, now I can't find it, so probably it's not going to happen. Oh, here it goes. Okay. So this is the phone number to call, but a beautiful thing happened yesterday. So I just want to give you 30 seconds on it with Pelican Harbor here in the village. This is this hawk that they had recovered. And they had a planned release yesterday, which occurred in the nature trail in the village. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I didn't start it. Okay, so you can see them fixing the hawk, and then it got fully recovered. And here we are yesterday in the village. Video by Adam Old.
It was awesome.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you so much, Hugh. That was great.
Next topic or next agenda item.
Thanks, Hugh, and thanks, Mayor Nickerson, for that very graceful release.
It was great. And the first of many, I just want to say the first of many things we'll be doing with Pelican Harbor. It's going to be great, our relationship with them.
Awesome. That sounds great. All right. Thank you guys for that. That was a lovely interlude. We have, let's see, LMS funding. Okay, the El Portal resiliency presentation, which I think we really already.
I think we covered it, right?
We covered that in H2.
Yep.
Moving on to H6. So the fertilizer ordinance. So I spoke with Attorney Geller about this. He, about my reading of the statute that we were mandated to adopt a model fertilizer ordinance. And he also agreed that the statute requires us to adopt a model ordinance. I obtained what I believe is the latest model ordinance. And that's really all there is on that. The statute says we need to adopt the version that is promulgated by the state. And so I guess I'm bringing that to everybody today to get approval from the task force to recommend to the village that we adopt the model fertilizer ordinance.
So I looked, Madam Chair, I looked at this. It seemed like a combination of the actual ordinance and some supporting information kind of in there. I don't know whether that was intended to stay in there for whatever the attorney eventually drafts off of this. But there were, just a few questions. But if the village has to approve this, I don't understand what our role in this is.
I agree. I share that question. I think just because this came up as an item before the task force, I think it just logically would make sense if we just made a recommendation to the village council that they comply with the mandates of the statute and adopt the model ordinance as laid out by the state.
I will actually echo exactly what you just said. I recommend, or I move that we, whatever you just so eloquently said.
Okay, so so I'll say it again. I think that I guess I would ask the task force to make a motion that we recommend that the village council comply with Florida statute 403.9337 and adopt the model fertilizer ordinance as laid out in the statute.
Madam Chair, I'll need a motion, a second, and then if you guys are going to vote on this, we'll do a roll call.
Okay. Can I get a motion on that statement I just made?
Okay, I move that we recommend to the village council that they adopt that they abide by statute 403.9337 and adopt the model fertilizer ordinance. Did I get that number right, Madam Chair?
You did. That's perfect.
Excellent.
Can I get a second? Okay, second, Member Valencia. Having a motion in a second, Mayor Nickerson, can we get roll call on that?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Roll call, Member Valencia.
Oh, she's muted. There she is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Member McLean,
Yes.
Member Kirk,
Yes.
Vice Chair had to leave the meeting early, Madam Chair, and Chairperson Carpenter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mayor Nickerson. That's great. And to the extent that the council needs any discussion on that, I'm happy to appear before them in, whatever capacity if they have questions. And, obviously Attorney Geller has, a more thorough understanding of the local government background on that though.
No problem. I'll add it to the agenda, you guys, and get it passed quick as possible.
Great.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Great news. Moving on to H7, which is septic to sewer. Just an update. I had since our last meeting, I've had a meeting with the manager just to discuss the septic to sewer, the status of the septic to sewer conversion program in El Portal. And as Mayor Nickerson mentioned, the county will also be having a meeting about that on the 10th, February 10th. I also, in my last, just before I give a summary of what the manager said, in our meeting with the county about the adaptation action area, I asked the question to Jim Murley, who's the resiliency officer for the county, whether or not he had an idea about the funding that the state partnered with the county on to facilitate the septic to sewer conversion in Miami-Dade County. I think it was $8 million was set aside for septic to sewer conversion in the county. And as of yet, he did not have the facts on where that money would be going. But it was a question that's posed, and I'm hoping we can get more information about down the line, given what we've learned about matching grants and the high cost of doing that conversion. So hopefully we'll have some more information on that. But just to kind of quickly summarize my call with the village manager, I think that Mayor Nickerson really hit all these points when I brought this question up a month or so ago. But we had initially begun the septic to sewer conversion process focusing on the west side of the village as phase 1. But that was stalled because I guess we couldn't agree with our engineering company on a price to finish the design of the project. And Mayor Nickerson, please jump in at any point to correct me or, elaborate. But my understanding was that we could not agree on a price with them, and that since Attorney Geller has come on, he is going to be working on that issue. And once that's resolved, we would circle back with the state to see if the funding opportunity for that area still existed, and the funding was based on the income level on that particular area of the village. And that was phase 1, from my understanding. Is that right, Mayor Nickerson? Okay. And then phase 2 would be the Second Avenue project, where we would convert the buildings along Second Avenue to sewer so that commercial development could go in those areas, because that's an issue to have commercial development on a septic tank. So that would be phase 2. I believe she said that that would cost about $5 million for phase 2, and to convert the entire village would be about $24 million. It obviously requires ripping up the roads, putting a sewer line underneath the roads, and then individual pump stations. So smaller areas would all be connected to one pump station, and then other more discrete areas would be connected to another. And part of the issue is finding an easement or property where those pump stations can go on. And then the individual homeowners are required to connect to the sewer line that would be put under the right-of-way owned by the municipality or the county, which is the road. It's also obviously an issue, the cost for homeowners to connect to that. We discussed, the manager and I also discussed having a meeting with our U.S. Representative Federica Wilson to talk about the water quality issues, that are in the Bay as a result of the contribution of septic to those water quality issues in the Bay, which impact navigable waters of the United States and are really a federal issue. So we have discussed having a call with Frederica Wilson to just see if there's other funding opportunities and to just see if the federal government is doing anything on these issues. And that's pretty much it. We've got an upcoming meeting with the county, and conversations are ongoing.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may.
Of course.
Yeah, so phase one, you guys, is going to be starting to heat back up and move along pretty soon. We're in the final, we're basically in the final discussions of that cost with the negotiations and possible lawsuit going forward. But Attorney Geller's been really up on that. We have meetings every week about that with the company Pannoni, and the negotiations have already been started. It's from 3 weeks ago, and we're almost down to getting to the bottom of that. So.
Oh, Omar, the lawsuit is against Pannoni for breach of contract or something like that?
Yeah. It's can't talk too much about it, but
that's fine. That's fine. I just want to be clear because yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And may I ask a question?
Phase one's going to be moving back into action mode pretty soon. Next.
May I ask a question? And it's coming from like a rookie kind of place, to be honest, in this matter. Since I'm very new to this environment and this kind of matters in the city. After that is completed, or that is, I don't know, we end up, suing or not suing or whatever not, what happens right after? We need to start like trying to find the funding for it, or what is the next step after what you just mentioned, Mayor Nickerson?
No, okay. So the next step is that we have to, because what the discussion or debate was about, that led to, the holdup was the pump station and the design and the cost for the finishing up of the design of the pump station. So once that's all settled, then we have to build the pump station back in the corner where we want to put it, to what part of the lawsuit is all about. And then once that's done, we start to set up the whole system along over there on the west side. That's what we start to do.
I mean, I understand that, but my question is, if it's the first phase is $5 million, close to $5 million, where is that funding?
Project is $5 million,
yeah.
Not on the west side of but phase 2 would be $5 million. Phase 1 is, I believe we would get some granting from the state if it's still.
Yeah. Phase one is pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because for time purposes, we won't go too deep into it now, but phase 1 will pretty much be able to get started and start to get into shovel ready.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Of course. Mayor Nickerson, do we know whether that grant opportunity is still available from the state?
It is, but it's going to depend on what comes out of the possible lawsuit. And so that has a lot to do with it also.
Okay.
But yeah, I put it this way, I'm very confident. So.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Nickerson. Does anyone else have anything else to add on that? And I see Chief Magnuson has joined us. No other subject to sewer questions?
Nope.
Okay. Awesome. Well, great. We'll jump back up. Welcome back, Mayor Chief Magnuson. We'll jump back to you for your COVID update and hope that your other meeting went well.
It started at 12, it went through 5. Yeah, it's one of those meetings I don't want to relive, but it went well. Thank you for asking. Regarding COVID, I think the big thing with COVID right now, I mean, in the past meetings, we were talking about some of the more medical issues and how it's peaking. And right now, it seems like we are at the peak. Depends who you ask. It could go up a little higher, but we are at that peak. Going back about a week, trying to keep the positivity rates basically under 10. Last few days, it's been under 9. Now, granted, back on December 28th, it was over 23. And you say, how did that happen? Well, because there was no testing and you couldn't get the testing done around the holidays. So that didn't help. So those numbers could be a little deceiving, but if the numbers stay a little bit lower, we're on the right path. I think right now with the COVID and with the research I'm doing and the talks that I'm having, it's about the rollout on the vaccine. That's the main thing right now. And that's not to put the virus off to the side. You know, the things that are being done for the virus are also keeping the flu at low. You know, the distancing, the hand washing, the masks. Perhaps now masks won't be politicized anymore. Hopefully, you know, maybe people will wear them and understand it even keeps people from catching colds. It just doesn't hurt to have one on. That being said, with the rollout, I read a recent white paper, and they were basically talking about keeping the residents informed on phased distributions, locations, and basically the safety aspects of the vaccine is where they need to go. That was almost like a resilience type of white paper that was talking about what needs to get going. Also about the effectiveness, the availability, and the safety of the vaccine is first and foremost for the community right now. I don't think there's any issues in Dade County about those specific areas, about the effectiveness of the availability has been touch and go. But you haven't heard much about safety or the effectiveness of the vaccine. I think by and large, what you have seen because of the limited supply, and it's getting better, is more of a demand. People want it. And I think that's good because originally the percentages were low for police officers too, and police agencies. There were maybe 20% of the people wanted with a wait and see attitude. I think as time goes on, you're going to see a lot more people want the vaccine. And at the end of the day, that's the overall objective, to get a lot of people vaccinated and achieve that herd immunity. So that's where we are right now. My next day Chiefs meeting will be at the beginning of February, first Wednesday in February. There's nothing really new to offer except things as they surround the rollout and the supply and where the supplies are going to be set up in and around Miami-Dade County. And as that information comes available, I'll certainly let you all know.
Thank you, Chief. And I also like the kind of the PDF notifications that you continue. Do something good for yourself, do something good for your kids, that kind of stuff. I appreciate the fact you forward those.
Oh, thank you. You know, that is really good information. It comes from the Florida Department of Health. They do a fantastic job about getting out information. And, you know, it may seem a little elementary, but, you know, sometimes in life, the best facts you can get and information are the simplest words to put out there. And they put it in such a way that I think it grabs people's attention, and it's just good. And I know they're posting it, which is a good thing for the village. They had something on the older people this time. Sometimes they have it on the youth, and so they're mixing it up really well. And kudos to FDOH.
Yeah, Chief, those are really good. So they've been going on the website. The only ones that I haven't told Ms. Gerber to put on yet, I haven't gotten to, which I'll do tonight, were the ones about the students and the elderly. I haven't done, those were the last two I think you sent.
Right.
I'll send those to Ms. Gerber tonight, but everything that you sent, I definitely send her to Ms. Gerber. And she has a carousel on the website of all your flyers.
Cool, so, very good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions for Chief Magnuson? Okay, well, thank you so much for the update, Chief, and for all your work on that. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to H8, which is the next task force meeting, Wednesday, February 3rd at 3:30 p.m. Does that work for everybody?
As of now.
Yeah, okay, not seeing any objections. We'll go ahead and leave that as is. And that concludes all the main agenda items we have. We'll move on quickly to I, unfinished business and general orders. Does anybody have any unfinished business?
Let me just look over the action items, if this is the time, or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, that's
sorry,
okay.
did we pass over good and welfare already?
We haven't gone there yet. But,
okay.
But if you have something for unfinished business.
It's more for good and welfare, I think.
Okay, gotcha. All right, nothing on unfinished business. Once, okay, new business. Member Kirk. Now's your turn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we are good. Next week or next month, we should have the FEMA funding update from the mayor. We also are waiting for the bylaws to be redlined by the attorney. I don't know Mr. Mayor, if that's going on.
Yeah, he just hasn't finished it yet, you guys. We've been working real hard on the stuff, FEMA appeal and stuff like that. So
I got you.
We're halfway done. We're halfway done.
The other things we've already addressed in today's, so I think we're good on that. The only other open one is for the village manager, how to address a flood event that applies to El Portal, but not Miami-Dade County. And it was under attorney review, but then it was the state isn't looking for changes at this time. Now, I don't know whether we want to close this one out or we want to continue to leave it on there as a placeholder. We're not going to be taking action on it. I like to see a clean whiteboard.
Yeah, let's leave it on there. Now that everything I think is more settled down when it comes to the state government and things like that, let me see what we can do with that, Member Kirk.
Okay. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Kirk. Does anyone else have any other new business? No? Okay, new business is concluded, and we'll go to good and welfare and start with Member McLean.
Okay, so I haven't circulated this to this committee for sunshine reasons, but Hugh and Adam and I want to let you guys know that we have launched our first crowdfunding campaign to raise funds to place sensors in the Little River and Biscayne Canal. This will become part of the sensor network for all of Biscayne Bay. So the goal is to make the data, so this will provide the first real-time monitoring of the water quality of the river. It will monitor for oxygen, it will monitor for a whole bunch of other things. We're in the process of researching sensors right now. It's up on the platform experiment.com. And I don't know, Omar, if Mr. Mayor, if we can circulate it for informational purposes because it's a crowdfunding campaign, but it's really exciting, and it's part of a challenge grant for conservation technology. There's a $10,000 pot that, assuming we make if we make our minimum, which I'm confident we are going to, then we become eligible for the division of this extra $10,000 in funding that's based on the number of backers that each of the 13 projects that are in the challenge portfolio. Basically, it's going to be divided up based on the number of backers. So if we get more individual backers, we are eligible for more dollars. So that means that people can donate $1, and that will help us raise more of this challenge money. So, so it's really exciting. Our goal is to put 3 sensors. Our ideal would be to get all the way up to 10 sensors. So every $1,500 we raise additional gives us 1 more sensor in the water. So it's the first time it's ever been done on the Little River. It will give readings, I think, every 15 minutes. It allows for a cell phone to go and grab the data and uplink it. If we put one near someone's house where they allow us to use their Wi-Fi signal, it will actually push it automatically every 15 minutes. So it's really cool. And, so we're trying to spread the word. We got a good initial push. It's open now for another 30 days. So, we'll keep communicating about it, but I don't know, Hugh, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just I put a quick link to it at that my c7riochico.net, c7riochico.net, CITSCI. If you go there, that gives you the links and all the information.
But we're going to put out a blurb. It's going to be pushed to the Pelican Harbor and the Pelican Harbor newsletter. Right. We're just trying to encourage people to help us spread the word. Because again, even a $1 donation will help us build that donor base that will help us unlock the challenge funds. So that's it for now.
That's great news. That's absolutely amazing news. Congratulations. And I would love to have the access to that link and then, spread the word. And so a quick question. So anyone can actually donate to this program whatsoever?
Yep, so experiment.com is like Indiegogo or Kickstarter, but just for science projects. So it's specifically a platform for kickstarting science projects. And we inherited this project. Actually, there was another guy in the Biscayne Bay community who is also doing an oyster restoration project and experiment. And he was already interested in the sensors, the sensor movement is something that's happening around the Bay. So not just us, FIU, everybody's involved in it. But he, are you pulling up the site? There you go.
Yeah.
So, but it was perfectly in line with something we had already been discussing with water keepers, and Adam is very excited about the science. And we're trying to prove that some of the oxygenation issues that people are blaming on the Little River are actually a function of seawater close to the Bay. So anyway, we want to, the only way to really improve our knowledge is to get good data. So that's what we're doing.
That's awesome, guys. Thank you for letting us know about that. That sounds like a really fantastic project that's much needed.
Yep. So if anyone, there's plenty of content on the site. So to help people, learn about it and help spread the word about it. But I will send around a blurb with a link with you, Omar, and you can just share it for informational purposes with people in the task force. And then if you feel moved, you can share it with your network. Build momentum.
I'm already moved, Member McLean. Already moved. I got you covered. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
That's really great. Thank you guys for sharing that with us and for doing that. Anyone have anything else on good and welfare? All right. Do any of the task force members or anyone else on the line have anything else to add in general? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn today's meeting.
I second.
All right, hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning today's meeting, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, El Portal Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force meeting is officially adjourned at 5:27 p.m.
Woohoo! Success.
Early.
Guys, take care. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day.